Guilty Gear, Guilty Gear. Sweet. We got Joe, aka Lucky 777, aka Metaregress. But it's no fun without stakes. Alright, so we got some data collection. Woo! Ooh, that kick. Nice block. Oh. Nice. Oh. Oh my god. that was a bad but okay burst followed by an unfortunate YRC teleport that didn't work out the way I wanted to. See that shit. Damn, we got all kinds of viewers in here. What up, y'all? Oh. Hey. I've got to say, like, so I know a lot of new players are kind of reluctant to play Guilty Gear because if you go online, there's a lot of sharks, and it can be very hard to find people who are close to your level, which means you end up losing a lot. And for people playing a game for the first time, that's not always the best experience. So doing the stream and being able to play a bunch of like new to kind of intermediate level players has actually been really cool because I get to see, and I don't mean this, I mean this with all love, I get to see a bunch of different ways that people can be bad at this game. And that's cool because as an educator, I get an idea for the different ways that people learn and the different concepts that people come in with kind of more or less familiarity. Ooh, that's good. Ooh. Yo, Slayer versus Chip, danger time. That's... I don't care how good you are, how big a skill difference is. It's scary as shit. Yep, that was Bears versus Daemendo at Anime Ascension. Woo! You spend that cash, baby. Oh, nice. Ah, Joe's come so far. When I played him for the first time like last week, he wasn't spending meter at all. This is a lot better. It's actually really cool to see him improve. Like right in front of our eyes. Stream, you saw all this. There you go. Good. Shenanigans. Oh! The trade at the end. Alright. I think I'm actually getting a decent idea what Joe can work on next. This is good. Nice. Oh. Hey, all right. Let's get Joe back in chat. We'll go ahead and do some push-ups. All right, sweet. So since you're in chat, type as necessary. To start with, call out one thing that you think you did pretty well and one thing that you feel like you needed work on. We'll start from there. Actually, while you're typing, I will point out one thing real quick just to fill this space. Overall, much better use of meter. You're using it in ways that I could clearly see some kind of thought, so you weren't just burning it for no reason. And you seemed to have a decent understanding of when it was your turn and when it wasn't. And that's one of those things, like, you weren't really pressing a whole lot of buttons under pressure, which was great. And you were pretty capable of navigating the neutral to figure out whether you're in a good position or a bad position and choose what you're going to do accordingly. I think if there was one thing that I would recommend that you work on, it's that your risk profile is very limited, by which I mean there's rarely a time where I can tell that you are doing something drastically more riskier than when you're not. Right? Risk is not something that you want to keep conservative all the time, because if you do, that makes you predictable. And this game is really more about figuring out where your opponent is on the risk profile at any given moment. So, okay, cool. We'll go over that stuff in a sec. So what I would recommend you do, pretty much some of the, how do I best put this? A lot of characters in Guilty Gear have, if you want to just keep them active all the time and doing something all the time, you can, right? And at high levels of play, we call that autopiloting. Sometimes it's funny because basically these characters feel the best when they're constantly doing stuff, right? When you're constantly, when you hit the thing and then maybe they block this one hit, but you already have this instant air dash mix up, so you go for that and then you land and you go for the throw, right? Like, you can be super aggressive in this game, right? And it's on the other person to check you and make you respect them in neutral. And what I would recommend is actually that you learn how to go balls fucking out with Slayer, because there were several segments where I wanted to see what you had in terms of offense, and you were like Street Fighter levels of respect, right? You'd make me block a couple things and then you'd back off. You backdash twice when I was in the corner, right? Which is, you're just letting me out of the corner at that point. Right? You went for a grab after you were getting blocked for like 10 seconds. When Slayer's like dash forward and command grab or regular grab mix-ups are super nasty, right? So you got to learn how to turn it on, because if you can't, then I have all the time in the world to focus on defense and doing whatever the heck. Right? And especially, like, this is true for every character in this game, frankly. Like, if you go to, I think it's at Combo Breaker this year, I just sat down and played some casuals, and I was gobsmacked at how everyone there just had this like 100% on, fully dialed in, like, branching path that they could choose with their character, right? You could tell that if they just wanted to keep moving and keep attacking, they could. And if you weren't able to figure out the holes in their like non-stop aggression, then you would just get ran the fuck over. Right? And even if you're blocking a bunch of that stuff, the fact that they don't have to wait to make a decision is super important. So, like, right now it feels like you're thinking too much and you're thinking all the time, and it ends up being super respectful, right? You didn't really go for mix-ups that were done fast enough to clearly show that this is just a setup that you had practiced and autopiloted. Right? When I block stuff, you didn't come at me with more stuff, right? With Slayer, by the way, especially his 6H to continue strings and be a threat is super good, and you should use it. So yeah, I would actually recommend for you, like, learn how to, like, just spend some time in training mode going fucking ham, right? Watch Slayer videos when he's just blowing people the fuck up. Like, try and watch match videos that are super stacked. I recommend watching Daemendo because he's a cool guy, and also because if you look at his matches in locals, everyone is basically free or close to free except for bears. So if you go and look for some of the locals where like Daymendo's playing in NorCal dogfights or whatever, you can just see him shit on people. And what you kind of want to do is learn what this character feels like when he's shitting on people. Not because you do it all the time, but because you need to be able to turn that off and on. Yeah, I'll type that in chat. It's Daemendo. So yeah, number one thing I would focus on for you is just learning how to turn it up with this character. When you do that, like when you can act like a little bit of a nut and just go in and keep pressing buttons, then I have to think harder than you and play more cautiously and I have to be the one to respect you, especially in this matchup, because as you know, if I get counter hit, then I'm fucking dead. So yeah, that's the main thing, the main problem that you should solve in your game, and I look forward to seeing how you solve it, because based on your rate of adaptation so far with some of the earlier feedback I've given you, like you're visibly learning. It's super cool to watch. You mentioned that you still need to get better at following stuff up like counter hits, and you liked some of your dandy mix-ups. Yeah, a lot of that just comes with practice. I would encourage you to level up your mix-ups to the point where, like, Slayer is really one of those characters where if I'm knocked down, you have high-low on either side plus a grab, right? Plus DP bait, basically. So you have like a whole bunch of possible options. I saw you using maybe one or two at a time. I think you can get better than that. So you should work on that. Following stuff up with counter hits is just one of those things, like, you can practice it, but honestly grinding games out is the easiest way to do that, just because it's hard to recreate certain situations at first, especially if you don't know what to look for. So I would recommend like spending a lot of time in the lab first, just to get that like nonstop mindless autopilot pressure. Like, if you notice, the tone for the last game we played changed, and it changed because I was going I was turning my autopilot on, right? And so that meant that sometimes I ran into your buttons, but it also meant that I was able to move much faster because I wasn't responding to what you're doing. I was just responding to what I knew the possible options were after the situation that we had just exited, right? That's really how you want to think of it. If they're blocking, right, you want to know what you can just do to stay in their face. If you hit them and they tech away, you want to know what your options are in any tech branch.